Welcome to Talking Mopars, episode number 139, and another installment of High Performance Heritage. This is a replay of the live-streamed High Performance Heritage episode that I recorded this past Friday night with my friend Dustin Ransom from Dutch Guy's Garage. There are so many Mopars that Chrysler Corporation produced that I don't believe get the love that they deserve from the Mopar community as a whole. One of these groups of Mopars are the F-body Mopars produced from 1976 to 1980, more commonly known as the Dodge Aspens and Plymouth Velaris. I don't understand why they don't get the love they deserve, because in my opinion, these cars were Chrysler's last hoorah at appealing to the youth enthusiast market who still wanted a fun V8-powered rear-wheel drive performance car, and I believe these were the last Mopar muscle cars until our modern-day Mopars were born. I have grown to really appreciate these F-bodies, and Dustin happens to not only own several of these cars, including some of the most sought-after versions of them, but he also knows an awful lot about them, and he joined me on this episode to drop some of his knowledge on all of us. After this episode, be sure to subscribe to Dustin's channel on YouTube. You can find him at Dutch Guy's Garage. I do want to drop a little disclaimer here. After Dustin and I finished the main topics of our discussion, I opened the live stream up for people to join us on screen. Needless to say, this one derailed so bad that I decided to cut off that chunk of the episode. The problem with it was that some people showed up after one too many beers and completely derailed the conversation. But that's just the risk you take going live and opening the doors up to anyone who wants to come on the show and chat. So, lesson learned there. But no worries, we took care of it with a little crafty editing for the audio version of this podcast. But if you enjoy train wrecks, feel free to head on over to Talking Mopars podcast on YouTube and view the whole disaster in its entirety. But if you're here to learn a little bit about the F-body Mopars, then stick around because Dustin is here to teach us a thing or two. So without further ado, if you are a Mopar enthusiast, then you are in the right place. Don't go anywhere. You're tuned into the best Mopar enthusiast-driven podcast on planet Earth. And I am your host, Chris Albrecht, better known as the Mopar Hunter, and this is Talking Mopars.
You're listening to Talking Mopars with the Mopar Hunter, your direct connection to all things Mopar.
Before we get into the juicy meat of this episode, I have to ask you guys a question. Is your Mopar protected? Whether it's sitting outside in the elements or inside the safe confines of your man cave, it's important to keep your Mopar protected. That's why I'm excited to announce that I'm now affiliated with a company offering an amazing solution for vehicle protection. They have everything from basic indoor shields all the way up to the top of the line platinum shields, offering the very best protection to keep your vehicle safe both indoors and outdoors from elements like dust, water, snow, and even UV rays. Their products are guaranteed to fit and are backed by a great warranty. To find out more about my new affiliate, please visit TalkingMopars.com, click on the Affiliates tab, and follow the link to their website. If you need protection for your Mopar, don't worry, we got you covered. Happy Friday night, everybody. My name is Chris Albrecht, host of Talking Mopars, and I'm here with Dustin Ransom from Dutch Guy's Garage for a special edition High Performance Heritage live, talking about the Mopars that every Mopar enthusiast loves to hate. Let's be honest. And those are the F-body Mopars. They were produced from 1976 to 1980. The Dodge Aspen and Plymouth Volare, right? Are those the only two that fall into that category?
That's correct.
All right. So I have grown to like these cars a lot, especially the Roadrunners, the Volare Roadrunners. I think they're sweet. I'd love to have a Super Coupe. I think those are badass too, but I don't know a lot about them. They're outside of the scope of cars that I concentrated so much on growing up. But seeing them around, I was always like, what the hell? A Roadrunner? That isn't a Roadrunner. You know what I mean? But obviously, you know, getting into magazines and stuff in my teenage years, I started to realize, okay, so there was other Mopars after the muscle car era. You know what I mean? I knew about the turbo Mopar between the muscle car era and the turbo Mopars of the 80s. Everything in between that, I was like, what the hell is that?
I think the greatest term for it is called Malaze Mopars.
Malaze Mopars. I like that. That is a group on Facebook, isn't it?
Yeah, I run it.
Hi to everybody in the chat. What's up? Sean? For those of you that don't know, Sean has built some badass vans. You might remember Vanther is my favorite van probably ever built. And now he's got the yellow submarine. Very cool cars this guy builds. So much respect to Sean. But back to these Mopars that like when you bring them up to muscle, like the hardcore muscle car guys, I've heard them dust them off so quick. And I feel like, it's kind of a shame because in my opinion, Dustin, we talked about this a little bit. To me, it feels like they were Chrysler Corporation's like last try before, everything died off as far as rear wheel drive performance cars go from Chrysler Corporation. Am I right there?
Well, I think honestly, in 1976, they were the Motor Trend Car of the Year. So there was a lot of big hype. They, transverse torsion bars, everything great was going for them. They had the Roadrunner name and everything. Yeah. And where they failed was they had bad quality steel in 76. I think if they were not known, like if they would have did a higher end steel, I don't think the older generation would hate those cars. I think they would kind of see them in line, with the earlier cars a little bit more. But all anyone ever remembers is that they rusted on the lot. And that is a very true story. So that's mid-year 77. They issued the fender recall. They made 2 million fenders, and you could go down to your Dodge dealership and get your new fenders put on.
Wow, I had no idea.
Yeah, there's so many NOS F-body fenders out there that you can buy them for nothing. Most I've ever spent was $200 for a pair.
Oh, wow, 2 million.
Yes.
Wow, oh man. Between that and like 80s, it seems like no major manufacturer could get paint right, and all the paint is just complete dog shit. I remember the most embarrassing car to ride in for me as a kid was my dad's 88 Plymouth Sundance. He would take me to school in that thing, and the paint was so bad, it looked like a bird just shit all over it. And I would tell him, Dad, take me to school in anything but this piece of shit. I hated it. But yeah, those cars, they just, for me, they scream mid to late 70s. They really do. And I Mopar has always been flashy with their stuff. And, if you look at the Super Coupes and the Aspen RTs and the Volare Roadrunners, it's like they were still trying. They were really still trying. Now, what options were available for those cars? Because the big blocks were gone. You couldn't get one of these with a big block.
The highest end motor you could get was actually the 364 barrel. Okay. There was very limited production of those. Even when you got the 364 barrel, it was 175 horsepower. Yeah. So nothing that would put your hair back, but it's, for the times, I mean, when you compare it to the Little Red Express and everything, it's not much less horsepower than what the Little Reds had. Sure. And actually, the kit cars and the Super Coupes actually shared the same motor, the E58, as a Little Red Express, and the only difference was the heads.
Okay, so educate myself and the audience on what the E58 is.
E58 was the high performance of 78. You got a windage tray, you got a 340 cam, a little bit better valves in the heads and everything, and I think it was 18 more horsepower than your standard 360.
So in comparison, so we know that the Little Red Express, when it came out, was the fastest production vehicle. How far behind the Little Red Express was one of these cars?
I don't know what the Little Red Express ran. I think it ran, what was like a 15.2?
Yeah, it was a low 15, if I remember right. Yeah. Yeah,
and the 78, the kit cars, I think the ETA was, I believe it was a 15.8. They weren't too far behind.
Okay.
But actually, go ahead.
Yeah, for the mid to late 70s, that's really not that bad, when you really think about it. If a
Well,
if a 15-second truck was the fastest production vehicle, the standards were set pretty low.
yeah, I think what a lot of people forget, what the older generation forgets when they look at these cars is, they considered them smog bombs. They were used to going down to the dealership and picking up a 300 horse, Roadrunner, and they could turn the key and dry off. But I think the generation before that could actually appreciate these cars because they were the hot rod generation. The cars of the 30s and 40s, they weren't fast. They had to make them fast.
No, 100%.
And that's the same thing with these cars. All they had to do was apply the same concepts, take the electronic ignition, put it and get rid of the lean burn and all that stuff. And Motor Trend magazine actually did an article on a Super Coupe. They did full bolt-on mods, and they ran a Super Coupe made it run a 13.5 in the quarter using bolt-ons.
Nice. That's comparable with the fastest Roadrunners from back in the day. So that's very impressive. Do you consider F bodies, obviously certain F bodies, do you consider them muscle cars?
I think it depends on your definition of a muscle car. I mean, what's a muscle car to you when you break it down to the basic roots?
For me, if it has, and this I would say pre 1980 and before, when we're talking about Chrysler, I would say anything rear wheel drive with a V8 that obviously 2-door coupe or hardtop, I guess, if you throw that in there. Anything performance oriented, you know what I mean? If it says Roadrunner on the side, they're trying, and it's got a V8. Yep. I consider it a muscle car. I really do. Because going to the Fox body Mustangs, I mean, people consider those muscle cars. You know what I mean? So,
right.
I don't know. The term is definitely, you get these guys who say, if it's after 72, it ain't a muscle car. I just don't. I don't agree with that at all.
No, I don't either. But if Chrysler put the name on it, so many people say, well, Roadrunner is just a package on a Volare. Chrysler put it on there. I mean, don't blame me.
If I had one, I'd call it a Roadrunner. I really would, and I wouldn't give a damn. I just, for me, it just emphasizes one reason why I love Mopar so much, and that's that even in the worst of times with the gas crunch and everything, they were at least trying to give you something cool. You know what I mean? I can't think of, I mean, I would say that even in those times, Chrysler was still leading the way as far as coolness and cool factor, in my opinion. I guess you could talk about the Trans Ams and Camaros, but for me, being a Mopar guy, I'm biased.
I think they were trying to be loud, and that was the only way they could be loud was appearance-wise.
Yeah. It definitely, with the adult toys and stuff, they really were trying to at least appeal still to the young enthusiast market, which I can at least appreciate. So with the F bodies, you still had 4-door sedans in there lumped in.
Yep. Oh yeah, and wagons. Can't forget those. So I guess I want to know, when it comes, if we're talking muscle cars, what different packages were available in these cars? Okay. We can start. Let's start at the beginning. Let's start 1976.
Yeah.
Okay. So just debut of the model. They had sedans, they had wagons. Right off the bat, they did a premier version, which you got wood grain and stuff on the wagon. You got the little bit higher end interiors and everything, and then they did have the Roadrunner and the RT options also. They didn't introduce the 364 barrel at the beginning of 76. The highest end motor you could get in 76 was actually the 362 barrel.
Oh, really?
And then they introduced the Super Pack option halfway through the year, which added the louvers, the front spoiler, the rear spoiler, and then they had the fender flares actually that went on all of that.
Yeah. So that's my favorite. I like that shit.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Yeah, hell yeah.
But in like terms of production numbers, the Roadrunners for 1976, they made about 6,000 of them.
Okay.
So, and then that was about the highest of the year. And then like 77, they made 4,500. 78, they made 1,300. 79, they made 1,100. And in 1980, they made 496.
Wow.
So they slowly made less and less of, going through time. And that's not even breaking it down beyond, that's just the Roadrunner package.
Yeah.
You break it down by options and stuff like an M55, T-bar top and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There is more one-of-one Aspens and Valaris than any other Mopar body style, and I guarantee that.
Really? Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That is something I didn't know. Is there a database that currently exists to see how rare these cars are as far as once you start breaking down the options?
There is. There's actually a forum online. It's called aspenvalari.com.
Really?
And you can go on there and decode your VIN tags and everything and actually break down actually how rare your car is. And then there is obviously gallons numbers. There's a lot of debate on whether, I know there's a lot of hostility and stuff evolved around him. But there is the old Hamtrak numbers in some ways are still around, but all the original documents for those cars actually burn up in the Hamtrak fire.
Really?
So, yes.
Interesting.
So, yeah, we're relying off old databases and everything, trying to break these cars down. But we've been pretty successful with it so far. But in terms of rarity, there's so much barely made in those years.
Okay. If that's the case, then I would have to ask you, and this may be a harder question, what is the rarest of rare F bodies?
1980 Plymouth Volare station wagon. They had an option called a sport wagon.
What?
They had the RT package. Remember the super pack? They put the fender flares and the spoilers and everything. They did this to a wagon and they called it a sport wagon. And now in 1980, you have to remember the base for a base motor for an RT or a Roadrunner was the Slant 6. You had the Slant 6 or the 318. Now, there is one 1980 Sport Wagon. Mind you, there was 87 or Sport Wagons made in 1980. There was one escaped with a 364 barrel.
Wow. Does that car exist or what?
I have heard it exists. I actually heard it's over in the Pennsylvania area. I have not seen pictures, and I have not seen a fender tag to actually confirm it. But it is a one-of-one car, comparing it to Gallon's notes and the Hamtrak notes.
Wow, that's crazy. I would have never guessed. Could you get these with 4 speeds or what?
Which ones?
The wagon.
The wagon, if you had a 318, none of the Aspens Valaris with a 360 were offered in the 4-speed because they offered the aluminum case 4-speed, and it didn't like to live behind 318s, let alone if you put it behind a 360.
Oh, man. That's kind of a bummer.
It is in a way, yes.
Yeah, that's tough. God, you got me thinking about this sport wagon. Now I got to look up. Aside from
I just sent you some pictures on Messenger actually about it.
Oh, I got to see this. I didn't realize that Mopar was dabbling in sport wagons. That's crazy. Oh, wow.
I sent you a collage. I kind of prepared.
Okay, that wagon. What colors were available in this thing?
In the wagon? In the wagon, there was actually 8 different colors. So that's where it gets really fun because they only made 84 or 87 of them in 1980. Yeah. So breaking them down between all those color options, I mean, even just colors, you could have one of 3. Break it down, but power steer or not power steering, but AC and stuff like that. It gets just so rare.
Wow. Dude, if you guys haven't seen this wagon, it's badass. That is awesome. Wow.
Actually, I'd like to address what Scott said. Scott, actually, the front flares on the front fender are the only thing they actually shared with the coupe. The rear fenders or rear flares were actually specific to the wagons because the wagon quarters are different, and the chin spoiler was different. So only the front fender flares were actually the same. That's been a big misconception. People have tried putting the coupe fender flares on the wagons, and they don't fit. So
interesting. Wow.
I told you I knew way too much about these.
That's rad. Now, for people that aren't familiar with Dustin and Dutch Guy's Garage, how many of these cars do you own?
This week?
Yeah.
Eight.
What's the rarest one you got?
1978 Dodge Aspen Richard Petty edition. One of 145 made. That one's actually fully optioned. It has every option you could actually check off on the whole car. It's got AC, fender turn signals, cruise control. If you could check it off, it was bought with this car.
That's awesome. Now, Richard Petty was only involved in Plymouth during his racing career. So it's interesting to me, right? Am I wrong?
No, he got into the Dodge Magnum in 78.
I didn't know that. I guess I've seen the Magnums out there. Okay. So, okay. I was going to say it's kind of interesting that he did a Dodge version because there was Dodge and Plymouth versions of this car, correct?
That's correct. The Plymouths were blue and the Dodges were red. And they actually started them because they wanted to get Petty back into racing Plymouth and everything. So they made these cars as a testament to him. And then he switched through the year and something like that. And the project was axed. That's why there was only 247 of the Plymouths made, 145 of the Dodges.
Wow. So as far as kit cars go, and for the people that don't know, these had the big 43 on the side. I would venture to say some of the first cars with these big flares ever produced. Well, right?
And it's not just a bolt-on flare. There's a giant misconception about that. You cannot just take that flare and bolt it on a regular fender. These cars actually went to Cars and Concepts. The Super Coupes and kit cars actually went to Cars and Concepts, same people that built the Daytona Chargers in 69 and stuff. And they took a regular Aspen and they hacked the living tar out of the wheel wells and the quarters, making these cars wider, and then so they could accept the big fender flares. And then they put 15x8 wheels on all four corners. Chrysler's largest wheel they ever produced in the 70s was actually put on these cars. And then they put a rear sway bar in the back, which is about a 1 inch thick. They made these things want a corner and want to turn.
Man, that's cool. I guess that I had a question in my mind about the availability for if I had a Volare or an Aspen and I wanted to build one of these cars. Is there a company that reproduces these flares or anything?
There actually is a gentleman in Mexico. A few years ago, there actually was a man in Iowa that produced everything for the Super Coupes, kit cars, Roadrunners, everything. His name was Phil Langerquist. He actually just passed away.
Oh, no.
And he was a big forerunner in the hobby. He made F bodies what they were. They called him the Petty King, and that's he actually rode around in one of Richard Petty's old tour buses.
Oh, really?
This man was a legend, and when I mean legend, I mean nothing compares to this man.
Wow.
But he passed away, so the parts availability fell away, and then this Horatio down in Mexico picked it up, and he's actually starting to make everything. But as far as like sheet metal and stuff, no one makes anything. No one makes anything interior wise. So it's all in who you know in this side of the hobby.
Yeah.
So, and how big your wallet is sometimes. Yeah. Most times.
And if you know about these secret squirrel wrecking yards where guys like Dustin go and just pillage these cars for everything they got. Oh,
yeah. Man. Oh, yeah. That's I've helped that yard actually helped get a lot of cars back on the road. My wife and I were talking about that last night. She said that I should start a Facebook album and start doing the cars that I've sold parts for and got back on the road. Cause just the parts from that yard alone, I bet you went to 50, 60 different people. And when you talk about parts you can't buy, you can't put a price on that.
See, I had this lady that had, I don't know if you saw the video that I posted. This was a while ago. She had like a 71 Satellite that had a roll cage in it. It was painted Petty. It was rattle can Petty blue. But she had don't know what year it is. I'd have to look at my pictures. But it was missing all the fancy, like the spoiler and the front lip and stuff like that, and the louvers. And I looked at it, and I knew she had some parts laying around, and she wanted $1,200 for it, and it was complete. With the exception of it was missing like some of the aero stuff. And I regret it to this day because I should have made an offer. And when I went back last time, the car was still there. So I was like, now it's time to make my move. And I was like, the Roadrunner's still here, still for sale. And she's like, no, somebody bought it. They're coming to pick it up. And I was like, damn, there goes my chance. Yeah. Were these cars all floor shift cars, or did you get them in column shift too, like for the Roadrunners and the RTs and stuff?
No, you could get them in column shift. There's actually a debate on because according to Gallon, there was actually only 8 floor shift 43s ever made, and he swears by that, and he's been disproven on that number. Actually, Phil in Iowa, before he passed away, actually owned 8 floor shift cars. He's like, I got them all. Everybody else's cars are wrong.
Yeah, these cars, like, just looking at them, they just have this 70s cool factor to them. Would you, how can I phrase this question? Would you promote these as good Mopar project cars, or are they too hard to find parts for and not worth the time?
I think it would depend solely on where you live in the country.
Okay, give me an example.
If you're in the Midwest, no, absolutely not. Unless it's been sitting in a garage and it has no rust. One of the first things I do when I go and look at one of these cars, because they're known for their subframes rotting out, I'll crawl directly straight down from the driver's side mirror, reach underneath there and grab that frame rail. If I can crumple it in my hands, you walk away. That's a 4-hour job to replace that subframe. You have to dissect it from another car, yada, yada, yada. The other side might be gone too. And that's not, unfortunately, what kills a lot of these cars.
Yeah.
You could have rarity and stuff like that. And, if you're 19 and you don't have a solid frame, you can't build a car.
Yeah.
So,
man, it really is a shame because, like I said, I think these things are cool. And you find these guys that have them that are like one owner cars, and they are super clean, which it's really nice to see that some of these are getting saved and or being preserved anyway. Because I can imagine how hard it's got to be to find parts for these things. It's got to be insane. And when you talk about the rarity, I mean, are prices just skyrocketing because of the collectability of these things and how rare they are, or what?
I think it's tagging along with, the rest of the muscle car market. A bodies are starting to get out of sight for the regular people. And, but the guys that also, grew up in that time when those cars were coming out, guys are getting older now. The kids are getting out of the house, and we're seeing a lot of that, especially in the groups. Some cars that are popping up and getting bought before, there was a Super Coupe 2 months ago that sold for $38,000. We haven't seen numbers like that.
Wow. How nice was that car?
It was, I'd say it's an 8 out of 10. The interior was done to that person's taste, not my personal taste. And it just had some resto mod things that I wouldn't do, or I wouldn't want in a car that I'm spending $38,000 on.
What kind of stuff was done to it?
Just tacky 90s restoration, like Super Coupe in the headrest and weird stitching in the seats and velour.
No, like purple interior lights or anything like that?
Oh, I didn't look at it up close. I was already horrified by the rest of it.
Oh man, that's a shame.
I'm not a purist by any means, but I don't like seeing Honda Civic seats in muscle cars that are reupholstered.
Oh God, that's like the ultimate. Like, wow. Yeah, I agree with you there. That would be very depressing. How many of these things have you seen resto modded?
Quite a few, especially more into now. There's a lot of people that are, they don't have e-body money and stuff like that. So they're buying them and making them. I know a very nice man in New York. He retired from the Navy. He wanted a muscle car. He bought a Super Coupe in California, drove it home, and now he's talking about putting a 5.7 in it. He's already put an overdrive transmission in it, fuel injection, and he drives it everywhere. And they're just
Gen 3 Hemi swap kits are available for these things, right?
I believe Chris Fields is making them again, if I remember correctly.
Okay. How many of these things have you seen Hemi swapped?
Probably at least 30. I guess it's a fairly easy swap.
30?
You really have to cheat. Yeah.
Wow. That's actually way more than I expected you to say.
Well, it's
Interesting.
they're budget friendly. If you spend less on the car, you can spend more on the motor.
Yeah. Gosh.
There's actually one guy. He's got an LQ4 in his with twin turbos, and that thing is nasty. I'm not a fan of LS swaps.
Yeah.
That thing is bad.
See, I just don't get the whole LS swap thing in a Mopar. Just put a Gen 3 Hemi in it. I know it's cheaper to do the LS and shit, but man, it's way cooler to pop the hood and see it. If you're going to twin turbo, at least, because nowadays it's like you pop the hood and there's an LS and you're like, oh, an LS.
Yeah.
But I still, when I see Hemi swapped cars at shows and stuff, I still see people walk by and go, oh, it's got a modern Hemi swap. So there's still that, and I know there's a lot of muscle car guys that are like, oh, screw that, the Gen 3. I like them. I'm sure you see quite a lot of big block swaps in these things, right?
Yeah, the big block is actually not a bad swap, especially with the low deck. Actually, we did a low deck swap on our station wagon last year.
Yeah.
It wasn't too bad. You really just got to change the booster because the booster is actually really close to everything. But low decks, you just put a set of B-body headers on them, and everything fits like a glove. And that's one thing that's great about these cars is you can put so many parts on them off the earlier cars. Wow. Like A-body and B-body headers on a small block will fit in the F-body perfect, like they were made for the car.
Nice. The more and more I look at them, the more I have to send you a picture of the one that I know of in Eastern Washington that I drive by every time I go to my mom's place. I thought because it looked orange, it looked like a Roadrunner to me. But looking at the pictures, I think it's an Aspen, and I think it was red, and I think it just got faded out over time. Mm-hmm. But I Google Earthed it. You can get close enough to see the car. I gotta send pictures of it to you so you can tell me what it is. I believe it's an Aspen, but it doesn't have the wing. I'm trying to find a picture I'd have to pull it up on Google Earth again. But they are super cool cars. They're just, man, I rarely see them where I'm at. Rarely. And when they pop up for sale, they're either so ridiculously cheap that they're gone before you can even, you're like the 100th person in line to call about it, or they're expensive because they've been, hot rodded. Oh, yeah. And they're just, how much do these things weigh? They're pretty light, right? Like compared to an A body, like a Dart, let's say a 69 or 70 Dart.
Well, I don't know what a Dart weighs.
Let's look it up. We'll say 1970 Dart. 2,800 pounds. So we'll call it 2,900 for a 70 Dart swinger.
Yeah, it's like I think the last time I weighed one, it was like 3,350 with me.
Oh, okay. Okay. What if you had to pick your ultimate F body? If someone said, Dustin, we're gonna take you back in time, you can order the car. What are you ordering?
Oh, that's a tough question.
Is it?
I would order a 1977 Aspen RT black. In 77, they did a lot of beautiful metallics. I think because your van has that.
Yeah, I still can't. It's like a coffee sunfire metallic or something. That's what they call it. I've seen several different names for it.
Yeah, it's the same color as my Super Coupe, actually.
Yeah, it's a beautiful color when you get it shined up.
And it's called a Starfire metallic, but they did it in 77. And It's black, and then it's got a red metallic flake to it, and that car is absolutely beautiful in the sun.
Wow!
I have a friend in Wisconsin. He has an original one, and that car in the sun, it's jaw dropping. I don't care who you are, but I would order it with T-tops and a 318 4-speed with black high back interior and a fold down rear seat.
Just these petty cars, man. They interest me so much. Was that a 1 year only, right?
Super Coupes and petty cars were 1 year only 1978.
1978. Interesting. Yeah, it's funny because like when you look at them, they look like they have pocket flares. Like, you know what I mean?
I always call them bushwhacker flares.
Bushwhackers, yeah. Are a lot of these cars tracked?
There's been many attempts over the years, and there's been a couple that were successful,
Huh?
somewhat, but we're talking, yeah, even going through the registers, there's only about 80 of the 247 Plymouth kit cars accounted for, and about 30 of the Dodges that are actually accounted for that still exist. I mean, there's separate parts that show that 40 or 50 of those that have got scrapped or parted out through the years, but in terms of rarity, the Dodge 43s are actually the rarest ones right now.
Wow. Two colors, right? So you're
Two
saying
colors.
red and blue?
Yep.
That is so cool. I'm really looking forward to seeing one of these in person. Thankfully, I don't have to be behind one in person anymore. Oh, man. How long have you been into the F bodies?
Well, I got the bug young.
Yeah.
I grew up. My grandpa was a B body guy, and then my dad was an A body guy, and I wanted something different than them. So I got into front wheel drive Mopars for a while. I bought a 1986 Chrysler Laser Turbo, which is the Chrysler Daytona version, and I bought that at 10 years old. with my paper money. I bought it for $300 from a junkyard. And then we have this massive cruise over in the big city over here. And they have it once a year. There'll be like 5, 6, 7,000 muscle cars, hot rods, everything out there. And Dad and I, we go there every year. We were walking around, and I seen a black 77 Aspen RT, and I had no idea what it was. And I said, Dodge, and I asked my dad, I said, what is this? And, because I read all the Mopar magazines and stuff growing up, and that no one never covered Aspens and stuff because they didn't care. And so I went home, fired up the dial-up computer, and I sat there and researched Aspens because we'd never heard of them. And then I was like, I got to have one of these. And then I found out about the Super Coupes and everything. They made 531 Super Coupes. And this weird thing with these weird flares, and it sits 2 inches wider than a regular Aspen. How cool is this thing? It's the original Chrysler wide body. How freaking cool, And you think in terms of wide body, that term didn't come back, until you start talking about Challengers and stuff.
Yeah.
And kids in those days, they had the Ferrari posters on their walls and everything. I had a clipping of a one-page article of a Super Coupe that I stuck to my wall because I was that weird kid.
Oh, man. Yeah, you had the sickness young, dude.
Well, it was just, you didn't see them. I mean, even if you go to Mopar Nationals or something, you might see one,
Wow.
And that was one of we went to Mopar Nationals, my dad and grandpa the one year. Well, they went many years, but this is my first year I went, I remember. And, because I thought I wanted a 68 Charger back then, and Dukes of Hazzard, why not? And so I'm walking around, and I remember walking through to see, because Mopar Nats, there's not, at least didn't used to be. There's no parking. You just park wherever. But there was these rows of E-bodies, and I remember staring at them, and I just seen like 12 red Challenger convertibles in a row. All of them were Tour red.
Yeah.
And they were all the same color. And it was like they, either had a 383 or a 440, and they either had black or white interior. I'm like, why would you want to go to a car show and have the exact same car as the dude next to you?
Yeah. No, I don't know.
I get it. I don't know if that's weird, but like that just, I don't know. It clicked to me. I'm like, I want weird stuff. I want, when somebody takes a picture of a car, they're like, that's that dumbass's car.
Yeah. Oh, looking at these Super Coupes with the wide body, I bet you if you asked a large percentage of the younger generation today that has, their wide body Challengers and Chargers and stuff, if you just casually asked them, what was the first wide body from Dodge? I bet you they would have no idea about these cars. Oh, I'd put money on it.
When Dodge, what was it? Because they came out with like the Scat Pack wide body. Is that what it's called?
Yeah. The Demon, I think the Demon was the first Challenger with the kit on it, and then they offered it for Scat Packs and.
Well, look at the side of a Demon and then compare it to a side of a Super Coupe. They have the same damn flares.
Really?
And when Dodge posted about that, they posted the side profile. I went right on their website. I'm like, man, it's got some sick Super Coupe flares. And Dodge liked my comment.
That's one thing I'll give to them. When they do little throwbacks to the old days, I like that. Yeah, these cars are cool, man. They don't get enough love. Yeah. I didn't realize how rare they were. Now I'm like, man, I'm probably never gonna have one of those.
I thought the same thing. That's because you see them and you see them for sale, and when I bought my Super Coupe 2 years ago, the market on them, a basket case was hovering at like $5,000-$6,000, and if you wanted one that you could even remotely drive, you're looking at $10,000.
Yeah,
and I was like, man, that sucks. It's going to be a little while. Then mine fell out of the wall or fell out of the sky. This dude had it 2 hours south of me for $2,500.
Wow.
And he says it's a running, driving show car. And I was like, I'll be there next weekend.
Yeah.
So it ended up being a little bit different story, and had to rebuild the whole car top to bottom and put 2 frame rails in it and a little bit extra. But, it's my dream car. It's the car I wanted when I was, since I was 10 years old.
Yeah.
You can't put a price on that. I smile every time I drive it. I drive it everywhere. And it makes the purists so mad because there's purists in this hobby. As silly as that freaking sounds, because there's purists everywhere.
Yeah, yeah.
And they absolutely hate that I drive that car the way I do. I'll post videos doing donuts in it, doing burnouts, driving it down dirt roads,
Hell yeah, dude.
The way they were supposed to be driven, the way all cars were meant to be driven.
Yeah.
And it bothers the hell out of these guys. I had 2 guys actually find me, and they blocked me on Facebook when they found out I drove the car to Alabama.
Really?
Because they think they're that rare and they only deserve to be trailered or only driven on occasion.
Wow.
And I showed up to Cooter's place in Nashville with the whole car covered in fucking mud and just pulled in there. Well, I just wanted to do a hood slide across the hood and be like, yeah.
Man. No, they're really cool. Just looking at the numbers that you supplied me with, am I wrong in this assessment that it looks like the Dodges are the rarer of the 2?
Yeah, they're the less produced, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But I mean, when you break down, compare 69 Roadrunner numbers to those numbers. I mean, look how rare their F body is.
No,
and there's way more 69 Roadrunners out there because of the rust issues. And then the NOS parts are drying up right now. So there's coming to a point where either the aftermarket companies are going to have to step in, or there's going to be a divide. There's cars that are going to be restored, and there's cars that are going to be parted out to restore those cars. And that's the time we're seeing right now.
Yeah, it's a tough sell when I look at these numbers too, because as much as I want to see a company start repopping these parts, it's like, shit, with that low of numbers in the first place, the juice isn't going to be worth the squeeze for a multi-million-dollar company to create, everything they need to stamp these parts. You
got to think of the clones, though. I mean, how many, Roadrunner clones are there?
Sure.
All that stuff. There's, companies step forward with those cars because those are just, Roadrunner numbers. You still got the 200,000 regular, coupes that were made every year and stuff like that. There's still a million of those, more of those cars made besides the Roadrunners.
That's true. You gave me a list of all the more sought after ones. I didn't even realize that until just now because I was looking for the wagon. I was like, the wagon's not on here.
Mm-hmm. Well, just like 1978, they made 89,000 station wagons.
Yeah, man. So there are parts if you can find the cars.
Yes, if you can find the cars, but some of the parts are hard to find, like the grills. The grills for these cars are most times worth more than the cars, especially the 1978, 1979 Volare grills. If you want to find one that's not broken apart, you're paying $800 to $1,000. And the one for our station wagon, I drove 16 hours for it to go get.
Wow. Okay, so let me ask you this. I find a 78 Roadrunner. I need parts for this thing. I need some of the frame, shit like that. Can I go find a sedan, a 4-door, and will I be able to get parts off of that thing?
Yep, absolutely.
All right. So what's interchangeable? as far as
Floors are all the same. And
really okay.
And what is actually nice is there's sister cars to the Aspens and Valaris. There's the Dodge Diplomats and the Fifth Avenues.
Okay.
Those cars actually share the whole underneath structure from the trunk forward. Rockers, floors, frame rails, inner fender structure, all that stuff is actually the same.
Oh.
And firewall also. So you got to remember the Fifth Avenues and stuff, they made them all the way up until 1989.
Yeah.
1989, we had a lot better steel.
So even all the way up until 1989, these parts will work. Really? Okay, that changes the game a little bit. Interesting.
That's my Super Coupe has 1989 Fifth Avenue frame rails.
Well, interesting.
The steel quality is better. It's entirely different plant where they got the steel from. And I don't know if you ever noticed, you really don't see Fifth Avenues routed out.
Yeah, I can't say that I have. Wow, that changes the game a little bit for these cars. I had no idea.
Wow. Fifth Avenues make great donor cars because they are priced. They're just a sedan. They're a comfy sedan from the 80s, and you can pick them up for $1,000, $2,000. You pick up a Volare, with a bad motor and bad frame rails. If you got a welder, you can fix it, and you can take the 318 out of the Fifth Avenue, throw it in there.
But see, earlier you said if you get underneath the car and you can crush the frame rail, then leave it.
If you don't have a welder, I was talking, as a 19-year-old kid that doesn't have a welder. He doesn't know how to measure a frame to weld a car in right.
Well, now I'd say get it anyway and go find a Fifth Avenue and learn. Learn.
That's
I've seen so many of these cars. Like there was one, and of course I don't know enough about these to identify the year, but it was an Aspen RT, and it had been buried in blackberry bushes for decades, and they were clearing out this property, and I believe it posted on OfferUp or something for $300, and half of the car was still in blackberries, but they're like pulling all these cars out. Somebody went through there and cleared it out, and lo and behold, behind this fire station for decades, there were these cars, a van, I think an RV was back there, but there's this red and black RT, and I was like, $300? And even though where it was less than desirable, the pictures that they had provided, I was like, that thing's still pretty solid. I will buy that right now for $300. And of course, I was last in line. Somebody else bought that thing quick. I was like, damn, people actually want these fucking things? So there are still people out there that understand. But this one that's been sitting on the side of the highway in Eastern Washington has been there for at least 15 years. So I don't know if the guy just doesn't want to sell it or what. Maybe. Tell me some more history about these things. I'm pulling up Google Earth right now. I'm going to show you this car. You're going to tell me what this car is.
Tell
me some good facts. Good facts.
Some good facts.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Let's talk about the go-karts.
What? Oh, dude, I've been meaning to ask you about your go-kart. Dustin has the baddest ass go-kart, a little Roadrunner. Tell us about that thing.
All right. So back in the day, Chrysler actually made those bodies in the go-karts. They were a dealer promotional item. What? Select dealerships got them. And I've heard different quotes on this, but I have a source from Chrysler that actually said they made 503 of them.
Oh, wow.
And the one I have is actually a 1977 Volare Roadrunner model. And then they actually did a Super Coupe, and they didn't do a 43 that I've ever seen. And then they did like a half vinyl top one, which is kind of weird and boring, but they pop up from every now and then. And then besides that one, I actually have a station wagon one. And the station wagon one is actually the show Fantasy Island, for some of the older people out there, had the little tattoo.
Yeah. The plane.
Yeah. The hero car in that show is actually a Volare station wagon. They cut the top off of it and put a canopy top on. And then Tattoo rode around in the same version but a mini one. And I have one of those also. And then from what I learned from a guy from NBC is they made 38 of those. And I have one with the original frame. I'm just missing the canopy top, which just looks like a lawn chair that was someone cut up. So I figure I can do that.
Uh-huh.
But I don't fit in the Roadrunner one myself because the way the top is. But I fit in the wagon one, so just fine. So I was thinking about restoring the wagon one and then hauling the one behind it.
Oh, that's funny.
Blake from DIY Jaimez here. Hey, Blake.
What's up, Blake? I am almost to this car. I'm just trying to find. Start turning up the hill.
But yeah.
My wife, when we were on the road, my wife was so quick to find it. I was so impressed. I was like, I've taught you well.
Yeah, that's it. They're a very interesting car for just the rare things they did to them. And I don't think there's a more diverse Mopar out there as far as the packages, sedan, wagon. Excuse me. They're just an odd body style, and I think they ended out the 70s very well for what Chrysler did for the rest of the 70s.
Okay, I found it. I just traveled like 20 miles on this highway, but I found it. Okay.
Oh, fireworks already.
Oh, gosh. Okay, now can I drop a... Whoops. I wish I knew more about these cars. They're so cool. I'm glad I know someone that owns fucking 8 of them. Okay. Got to see how close I can get to this car. Oh, it's not going to let me get a good view. Oh, let me see if I can zoom in on it. Oh, this is actually pretty clear. Let's see how good you are, Dustin.
Okay.
Let me see if I can just pull up this screen. I don't know if you're going to be able to identify it from what I was able to pull up because the house is kind of off the road. Can you see that? Oh, it's not on the screen yet?
No, it's on. It's on the screen. It just. Oh, hold on. Let me make my screen bigger. That might help.
That's as much as it will let me zoom. It's hard to tell, though. It's got a yellow stripe. I don't know if that's factory.
It appears so. Can you go further down the road?
Unfortunately, it will not let me go down this private road.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it sucks. But I can go down. Let me see if I can. Let me zoom out real quick. I wonder if I can see it from the highway better.
It looks like a 76.
Yeah, I don't know if I can. You can't see shit from there. One more. Okay, that's a little better. Let's see what we can see from here. I'm actually surprised how clear this picture is.
Yeah, Google Earth does a good job. Yeah, I see no louvers, so
it's got no louvers and no spoiler.
Yeah, so I would guess it'd be a 76 non-super pack car. So that'd be my guess. It's an RT stripe.
So that is an RT stripe, and all the so the only way I can get louvers and the spoilers and stuff is with the super pack. Okay.
Yep.
All right, that's a bummer because this doesn't have it. That's okay. Now I want to get the back of it. What is happening here? There we go. I think I can drop myself right on the highway and hopefully get yeah, perfect.
Oh man.
Okay, we might be able to get a better shot of it. So all these years I would drive by and I would see that. Oh shit.
Oh, hold on.
That does have a spoiler, doesn't it?
Zoom in more. That actually might be a 78. I was wondering that.
It's got a sunroof. No, were there factory sunroofs or is that some add-on?
Hold on.
Tell me what this car is, Dustin. I've been seeing it for years. Do I need to go knock on this door and hopefully I don't get shot?
Well, sunroofs are not factory. They actually came with a moonroof that was like a roll down and everything.
So this is aftermarket.
That one looks like an aftermarket, but that's a 78 RT stripe.
Really?
79, they actually moved all the stripes down to the lower body panels, like below the bottom body line down. And then the first year for the plastic taillights was 78, and they continued that all the way through 1980. And you can pick out a 78 because it'll actually it'll go white, orange, red for the turn signals, and then 79 will be white and red. So yeah, that was a lot of information real fast. Sorry.
No. So this has a spoiler on it.
Yep. So it would be, I would say it's a 78.
So so these cars can have the spoiler, but not be the super pack.
You can also get the spoilers have been added at dealerships and.
Oh, okay. Yeah, true. Interesting. I might have to.
I'd have to see a fender tag. I mean, I'd have to know if it said A57 on the fender tag. I mean, then it's an RT. You could break it down. If it said A66, it's a super pack car. It'd be really cool if it was an M55 T-bar, but
Yeah, can't all get that lucky, dude. All right. Well, now I have my answers for that car. I've been wondering for years. I might have to go try to get shot. They seem like nice folks.
Could be $300.
It could be, man. You never know. Maybe a year or two ago, I saw a Facebook post from a guy in Washington who lives on that side of the state, and he had an orange Roadrunner on his trailer. Like, oh, I've known about this car for years, something like that. And he ended up buying it, and I thought it was that car. And I was like, shit. Somebody went there and actually pulled the trigger and got it. Damn. And then the last time I was down there, I saw it sitting, and I was like, holy shit, that wasn't the one? Because I think I told the story recently. There was a black Roadrunner in some backyard, and I cannot, for the life of me, remember where the house is. I'm going to have to do like a 12-hour Google Earth, just look at the cities that I used to go to. Oh, man. But yeah, these cars are neat, dude. I really like them. I'm trying to think if there was any other specific questions I wanted to ask about these things. We covered rarity. Oh, I did like, and I didn't know this until a couple years ago. I didn't know that the tough wheels were an option on those things. So that's cool. I like that. I like that.
The 1980 model, you could actually get color matched tough wheels.
So that's where the colored tough wheels come from.
The B bodies also in the Muratas had the colored tough wheels also.
Oh, did they? Oh, okay. Because I've seen a couple on eBay, and I thought they were just spray painted. Interesting.
My Super Coupe's original black tough wheel got taken out in the 80s for a little tiny 10-inch Grant steering wheel. So it's currently rocking a beautiful blue tough wheel.
Nice.
That was the only one I had out before we went on our Alabama trip. So, blue steering wheel and a tan car. It looks great,
That's not the same blue tough wheel that I've seen on eBay a couple times, is it?
No.
Back when I had my blue truck, I almost bought that thing because I was like, oh, that'd be cool in my truck. But I never did. Never pulled the trigger on it.
Well, the genius moment in that moment was I need to put a tough wheel in this car because I can't make the steering wheel comfortable to drive 2,400 miles to where I can't drive it with this little steering wheel. So I get this blue steering wheel out, and I'm like, man, this looks terrible. I'm putting the can on, and I get the steering wheel on, and then I happen to look up, and I'm like, there's a blue penny car right there. It probably would have looked real good with the blue steering wheel. Stupid. It's got a black tough wheel in it.
Oh.
But I tightened it down too much. I needed a steering wheel puller. It was like 1:30 in the morning, and I was like, screw it. We're leaving. Screw it.
Oh, man. So what current projects are you working on right now? Are they all just under construction or what?
No. It's normally we try and do just one car a year. Sometimes two sneak under the radar. I'm collecting parts for the Dodge 43 kit car right now. We're trying to go through. The wife doesn't want to drive that one until it's 100% factory original. Because I married a purist. Apparently, I didn't know that. But that wasn't the Phil Langerquist collection. We bought it from you. So it was one of Phil's cars, and Phil was known for having, what did he have, 14 43s?
Are you serious? So, that's insane. What, have they all been dispersed or what?
Yeah, they've all been sold from the collection. He actually bought his 43, the first one he ever had. He bought it brand new, ordered it off the lot, and he kept it until he passed away. And it is right now, in my opinion, the nicest 43 in the world.
Where did it end up?
It went to Kentucky after the sale, and then this year it actually got sold again, and it has unfortunately disappeared. But
no, that car needs to be in the Wellborn Muscle Car Museum.
I think it needs to be in Gilmore Car Museum, because that car, the first time I ever seen it was actually I went to Phil's funeral, and it was in this back of the pole barn, just covered in like an inch of dust because he hadn't gotten it out in years, but he always maintained it.
Yeah.
And there's like really bad lighting, you're walking around with a flashlight and you just shine it on this car and you see that fine metallic coming through all the dust. And you're like, how this car that looks like a barn find is just glowing in the dark. Man. And, you just peek in the window and the interior is like day one. And he ordered it so cool. It was an AM FM CB radio car. It had a power antenna. So when you turn the radio on, the power or the antenna would come onto the fender, and all this on a 43. And
wow.
just ordered so cool. And it was perfectly preserved. And my friend in Kentucky that actually bought the car from the estate, because the car only had 19,000 original miles on it.
Oh my God.
And everything was original. Nothing had ever been done to the car. He brought it up to a car show at the Gilmore Car Museum by us last year, and Phil's number one actually rolled 20,000 miles in front of my house.
Whoa.
Doing a burnout the way Phil would have wanted it.
Nice. Nice. You don't need to tell me the specifics, but I imagine that car cost quite a bit of money for your buddy to buy.
I never asked, but yes, I assume that's when you're talking about the nicest of one. There's others that have claimed theirs are just as nice, and I don't believe it for a minute.
Yeah,
I haven't seen his. You can't find a flaw on it. Like, wow. I seen it clean, and I was walking around it because that was when we first got our Petty 43, and I have them parked side by side, so I was just comparing them, and I'm like taking notes and everything. So when we restore it, we can restore it to, specs and everything. And it's just like, you can't find a thing wrong with this thing. A car that's 43 years old, there's got to be a defect here and there. There's nothing.
Wow.
And whoever got it, he is a lucky SOB. I can tell you that, because that is like, I would give kidneys and livers for that car.
Would you give up everything you got for that car?
Absolutely. In a heartbeat. Yeah. And I would never drive it. Yeah. I would park it, and I would probably make sure it got seen at a museum, because that's exactly where that car belongs.
So how much work does your 43 need? The Dodge?
The Dodge 43, that was actually parked in 1982. Phil bought it in 1989 from the original owner. It was a Wisconsin car, and it got into a fender bender in 1980. I found the original owner. Got a fender bender in 1980. It got repaired very poorly at a body shop. And then in 1982, we got another accident, and the car was parked. Just a minor fender bender. The fender's dented and the hood got creased a little bit, but nothing substantial damage. But he just didn't want to have the car, another insurance claim on it. So Phil bought it in 1989. And the weird thing about it is that I found the original owner, and he does not care that the car exists. He bought this car new. How do you buy a car like that new? I mean, I understand it's 1978. There's still Roadrunners and stuff out in the world, but like, that car is loud appearance-wise, very loud.
It's got a giant 43 on the side.
Well, how do you own that? And then somebody gets a hold of you 43 years later, but like, your car still exists. I'm restoring it, and you're just like, cool. Wow. But yeah, it's been parked since 1982. I got it, and I just tried going through it. I actually got it to run. Not well, but it ran. And it was the most disgusting mouse house I've ever seen in my life.
Really?
I mean, I've seen some bad stuff in junkyards. I've seen, raccoons that have lived in cars for 30 years, and they do not hold a candle to this thing.
Wow. Do you have an idea for a great new podcast? You can bring your idea to life and start your podcast today with Libsyn. Talking Mopars has been on Libsyn for 3 years, and I love it. Libsyn has everything you need to plan, launch, and grow your own podcast. Libsyn provides some of the best resources created by expert podcasters who will show you everything you need to know, like what equipment you should use, how to record great audio, how to get your show on Apple Podcasts and other popular platforms, and much more. Plus, as a friend of Talking Mopars, when you sign up with Libsyn, you get your first month of podcast hosting for free. There has never been a better time than right now for you to start podcasting. Visit Libsyn.com and use code FRIEND, FRIEND. That's LIBSYN.com, and use the code FRIEND, FRIEND, to get started and create your podcast today.
But it was Phil's car. It needs to be fixed. It was actually the fourth one he ever bought. His first Dodge, and because he was a Plymouth guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna see the car restored. I got NOS fenders for it. I have an NOS hood, NOS inner fenders, NOS radiator support, NOS doors, NOS quarters, NOS trunk lid. The only thing that's going to be original is the roof.
Wow.
So
that's crazy. And are these parts that you had to hunt down, or did you already have them?
Majority of my I had to hunt down. I usually making secondhand stuff work. I personally don't like throwing NOS parts at my cars because my cars usually aren't worth anything. And I like to see the 43s and other Super Coupes, the higher end cars get restored over my junk, and that's always the mentality I had. But when you're talking about a car where there's only about 30 of them left in the world, I'm going to throw everything NOS at it that I got.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And being one of the highest option ones probably out there that's left, I'm putting every option back on it too.
Yeah.
And that's gonna be our Route 66 car. We're planning on taking the car all the way to California.
Dude, awesome. That's great. You have two 43s, dude.
Yep.
That's crazy. Are you're the guy in the area where everybody's like, there's the crazy guy with all those fucking weird cars?
There's actually 6 Velaris in my town that actually run around. I only live in a town of about 3,500 people.
Really?
Yep.
Weird. That's crazy. How many times when you're out driving around, maybe outside of your town, are people like, what kind of car is that?
Every time.
Isn't that funny how it's the Mopars that Mopar enthusiasts are like, you get those muscle car guys,
Mm-hmm.
And yet you take it out and everybody wants to know what it is.
Yep.
that says something to me.
I think it's funny because my 1980 Aspen RT, the tan one, that gets more attention than all the rest of our cars except the station wagon. People love that car. Like, absolutely love it. That car is built 100% out of junkyard parts. I mean, the motor's from an RV. I mean, it's garbage, and it is loved. I mean, the people line up to take pictures with it, and just
it has a cool factor. If I saw that car at a gas station, I'd be like, dude, that's badass. I think it's a combination of the color. You don't see too many people building tan cars. You really don't. At least I don't. It's definitely the color, the stance absolutely the stance. I love the stance on that thing. And a Hemi hood. It's got to be one of the only around with a Hemi hood on it. A Hemi hood scoop.
The Hemi hood scoop is meant for the 1980 miles. The 1980 miles, they redesigned the whole fenders and everything, and they went to a square headlight.
Yeah.
And because you got to cut a hole in your hood to put
the
air cleaner stick out. In the 1980 models, where you want to cut out for your hood, the hood bracing is a Hemi hood scoop shape. So I just followed the die grinder, cut that out, and it's a little Hemi hood scoop inside the big Hemi hood scoop, and your air cleaner pops out of it.
Well, it's hilarious because the first time I saw that car, and this was long before I actually knew you, I saw it because I'm a group lurker. I'll be in groups. I'll never post a damn thing. I'll just look at all the cool pictures and see the posts. And I remember the first time I saw that car and I was like, that hood scoop looks so damn perfect on that car. It's like, it's amazing.
Everybody thinks it's fiberglass too.
Really?
That hood is the original hood just plastic dipped.
All right, fair enough, dude. Fair enough.
But when it gets too many bug marks, you peel it off and you re-plastic dip it.
Yeah. I might have to try that on my wife. Oh God, we got the trolls.
I was wondering, they went from Wilburn's to you,
bastards. How long? When my wife had her Cherokee, she wanted me to black out all her emblems. I'm like, why don't you just buy the one with all the black emblems? Now we got to take all the chrome off this thing. You know how much work that's going to be? And she ended up buying a bunch of plastic dip. I've never used it. I still got it in the case. Is that stuff a bitch to put on?
No, you gotta put it on thin, and then you gotta just keep. It's a lot of layers, and if you put it on too thin, then it won't peel off.
Yeah, I hear it's best to get the gallons and just spray it. That's what I heard.
I haven't tried that, but
so you went rattle can?
Yeah.
Right on. How many coats did you do on that thing? Because it looks good from where I'm sitting. It looks fine.
I did like 3 coats.
Okay, interesting.
And I bought the cheap, well, you don't have Menards, but like Home Depot brand plastic dip.
Okay. Does it level out pretty good or what?
Yeah, it really does.
Okay.
In touch-ups, because there was one spot, I think I dropped something on the hood and it peeled it up a little bit. Mm-hmm. So I just kind of rubbed it down with my finger and just, you couldn't even tell. And it was a few months later.
Okay. Interesting. I have to say, when you were painting the engine bay in your blue 43, I don't know if it's just because I was watching on my phone or what. Do you have any paint experience? Because it looked damn good when you were done. I was like, that looks really fucking good.
Oh, I went to school for body work.
Did you?
Yeah, I have a degree in that.
Really? Interesting.
I just don't do it for a living because auto body does not pay well in Michigan.
Yeah. You have to be with the auto body guys around here and the guys that can paint. I mean, you have to find the clients that have the pocketbooks big enough to pay you what you're worth. You know what I mean? Because I know a couple guys that paint on the side, and I was talking to one of my buddies, and he was restoring a 70 Roadrunner, and I was looking at the car. It was in primer at the time, and I was like, that thing is fucking laser straight. And we talked a little numbers because I was just curious, and just in the materials alone. He goes, if you want to do a show-winning quality OE restoration, you need to use the best of the best. And I forget all the materials he was using, or what brands and whatnot, but it was definitely top-of-the-line stuff. Mm-hmm. And he told me the thousands of dollars just in materials. And I was like, oh, God. And it was almost like that's when I had like the come to Jesus moment where I was like, I'm probably never going to have an OE restored car then, because that is too damn much money for paint. But I didn't realize you had those types of skills, because I was like, damn, that looks good. I was like, shit. No, that's cool. I've always wanted to get into that. I'm waiting for the right car that I want to paint, because I'm so scared to fuck it up that I'll screw it up so bad. Why didn't I just leave it patinaed? You know what I mean?
Well, you could paint the dumpster fire's engine bay. I mean,
I was honestly, looking at
that little $12 gun I bought from Harbor Freight.
Yeah,
I've always heard great things about this little touch-up gun. Yeah. And when I painted my Super Coupe engine bay, I was I was at my buddy's house and we did the frame rails and stuff on that, and we used that little touch-up gun, and that thing sprays amazingly. So I went out and bought one, and it's literally $12. It's got a lifetime warranty on it. The only thing you do have to buy for it is the air pressure regulator. So you get another $5 into it. But for $12 for a lifetime warranty, unscrew the regulator and throw it in the garbage, because paint thinner, you buy a gallon of that costs $12.
Yeah. Oh,
well,
man.
I mean, I have a $400 DeVilbiss gun, and it sprays just as fine as that, in my opinion.
Wow. And see, that's not the first time I've heard that. I've also heard that it has a lot to do with your skills as a painter too. Like, I can't go out and get the top of the line gun and it's going to spray good. You know what I mean? But it's definitely something I wanted to try out.
The main thing is you just got to keep your wrist locked. When I was in college, because I had previous auto body experience before I went to college, they actually had me teach kids how to paint. And what I used to do, because I was a dick, as you know, I'm an asshole. So
that's what I hear.
Yeah. Because the main thing where people screw up is they fan. They want to go like this.
Yeah.
So their product, because you got a flat surface, is getting lots of product here and a little bit of product here.
Yeah.
So you got an uneven surface. So what I used to do is I used to take 2 paint sticks, put them on either side of the kid's wrist, and duct tape their fucking hand. You don't fan your paint. As crude as that sounds, I know it sounds crude, but same thing. You could put a splint on your hand and you get the same effect. But I taught a lot of kids how to paint that way, and the paint teachers would all just laugh and they're like, "That's a great idea."
It really is. It's funny depending on the person you're teaching, because I remember when I used to I had a job reconditioning old construction vehicles and like box vans and stuff. Like we delabel old U-Hauls, and because you could still see the label like after, because the sun had beaten on it, so you take the label off and it'd say U-Haul still or whatever. And I remember the Mexican guy that taught me, is like, you ever used a paint gun? I was like, no, I haven't. And he's like, all right, you're going to learn today. And it was all white. Everything we painted was white. So it was like, and I was like, man, I've never done this before. I'm a little nervous. I'll fuck it up. And he goes, hey man, these are just work trucks. And then it dawned on me. I was like, well, that's perfect, because now I can learn. And he taught me the same thing you just said. And it got to the point where I was pretty damn good with just painting white. I was almost to the point where the paint and body guy, like that did the real paint and body work, wanted to bring me over to that side of the shop and teach me some stuff, because he's like, I think you got it if you stick to it. Because he saw a couple of jobs that I did and he was like, that looks pretty damn good. So like, I don't know. I was weird. I like to like spray painting bumpers and stuff, because of course these things come in hammered, so they get the bumpers straightened out or whatever, and you got to paint them. I remember everybody thought I was crazy because I like to use a heat gun, and every time I used the heat gun with the rattle can, it always laid out really good. Anytime I didn't, I would always get orange peel, or you're talking about rattle cans. So I would always heat up the can. I've only blown up 2 in my entire life, but I have blown them up. Like, I'm gonna go take a leak really quick and leave the heat gun just sitting next to the can, heating it up. Boom! Like, oh shit! Oops. But yeah, if I could go back, because I tried doing the mechanic thing, and it got to the point where I was just like, this is lame. I don't want to work on people's daily drivers and shit, because that's not what I was. If I could go back in time and do it all over again, welding and paint and body work, just because like I don't think it'll ever happen. But if the world went all electric, there's still going to be custom cars. And people are always going to want custom paint jobs and custom body work and crazy shit with metal. Yep. So that's one skill that I still would like to learn. Maybe I'll practice on the dumpster fire someday when I get tired of the patina. Yeah, man. This has been a fun episode. I'm trying to think of anything else I want to. I'm sure once we get off the horn here, I'm probably going to be like, damn, I should have asked this and this. So we might have to have you back. But would you say the F bodies are your favorite Mopars or what?
No. I have one car that I would buy if I could.
What?
If I could find one. Haggerty actually considers them extinct. And I love that absolute fact that they say that Haggerty says they are extinct. Haggerty looked for 8 years for one of these and could not find one to compare values for. Do you have any idea what it is?
I don't. I'd probably sit here and think all day.
It has an early muscle car name, but it's not made in the early muscle car era.
Okay, so it's another one of these weird ones.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking... Give me a year.
1979.
1979. I give up.
Dodge Challenger.
A 79 Challenger? There's one locally for sale. I would have never guessed that. Why?
I love the interior in them.
Really?
I love the interior. Have you ever looked at the plaid ones?
No.
They are gorgeous, and they look like the seats are like straight out of the future. Like they're nothing compared to anything else in the 70s at that time.
You know, I'm looking it up right now. See. Yep, they're just as hideous. I remember. I gotta see what you're talking about. Okay. Actually, it does kind of have e-body. That's weird.
And they came in 4-speeds, and they were rear-wheel drive.
They're rear-wheel drive too, huh?
And you could get a Hemi in them.
With the 2.6 or whatever it was?
Yeah, whatever it was. Maybe 2.8.
That is funny. That dash, it does look pretty cool for an 80s car, I will say. It's funny because when you pull up the pictures, like obviously e-bodies pull up as well. And then you look, and there is definitely a resemblance in the gauge cluster.
I just think they're unique. When something is labeled extinct, I love it. I want one. I want to bring that to a show. That's even more cooler than bringing a Super Cooper and a Volare Roadrunner to a show, because no one will know what this thing is. No one.
Man, why didn't they put a small block in that thing?
Oh, I know. It'd be so killer.
Man, that is gosh.
But for Haggerty to label them extinct, that means that they have none, that they insure. So they looked for one for 8 years. I read the whole article on it. Haggerty, even said it was so rare they wrote an article on this.
Wow. That is insane. When was this posted? There's a October 19th of last year. This is on Hemmings. The article says unrestored 1978 Dodge Challenger features the plattest interior that ever platted.
It is really close. I think my wife's station wagon's got a beat though. They had a GW code for the wagons, and it is just plaid. And it was called the Highland Plaid interior. That interior came all the way from Maryland. I bought it the week before COVID, before they shut down the whole country. So a guy had I think it was a 17,000 mile car he was going to derby, and my buddy went and seen it, and he's taking pictures of the whole car, doing a walk around video, because I wanted to buy all the trim off of it, because it's chrome trim, it's gorgeous. And our wagon's from Mississippi, so it's got sun fade and all kinds of stuff. And so he's doing a walk around, and I see this interior behind it. I'm like, whoa, what's going on with the interior? 523 cars came with this plaid, and he's like, oh, it's mint. It's like 2-year-old car new. Like, what does he want for it? He said all the door panels and the seats, you do $300 on them. Take my money. Take all of my money. And then I was going to meet him at Carlisle, and they were talking about, originally I was going to have it shipped through Fastenal. Then they shut down the country. Nothing was going out. So I got this interior stranded halfway across the country. They're not wanting people to leave states and stuff. So I'm like, I heard Carlisle might happen, and then Carlisle might not happen. So then we canceled Carlisle, and this dude's like, I got to have this stuff out of my shed, or I got to toss it. So I'm like losing my mind. So I put out an APB, nation, all my friends nationwide, and I said I need to get this interior from Maryland. And I said I don't care what it costs. I found this awesome person in Arkansas. They were driving like their 1992 Ford Bronco from Arkansas to Maryland, really close to this dude's house. Never met this guy before in my life. I contacted him, talked to him on the phone for literally 2 minutes. I said, "Were you willing to do this?" He says, I'll bring it as far as Columbus. So I PayPal'd him, complete stranger, and this dude loads it up in the back of his Ford Bronco, drove it all the way to Columbus. I paid another buddy to drive from Akron to Columbus to go get the thing, and then he drove it to me.
Wow.
All for some seats.
Hey, just using your resources, dude. I like that.
I mean, you can't have C3 upholstery for $300. Front, back, door panels.
Hell no.
And these have no rips, no tears, no cigarette marks, no stains.
Wow.
And they're absolutely just gorgeous. Like they're literally 2-year-old car new.
Wow, that's crazy.
And for something that's 43 years old, I mean,
yeah. When you find those old cars that have I swear seat condition can change the game. Those old cars. Nice seats in an old car, even if it's a little patinaed, maybe a little beat up. If the seats are crisp, then it's all good.
Oh yeah, that's our car being from Mississippi, the whole interior was baked, but the car was solid, and I didn't think it was going to be a big deal to put together an interior. Trying to find every bit of those plastics, it was such a pain in the butt because it's wagon specific.
Yeah, and
oh my goodness, because they did like I don't know if you know about the 80s Chargers, but their interior was very similar. They had like a fish oil, excuse me, in with the plastic, so they deteriorated very, very easily. And so if you so much as look at them, if you scratch them with your fingernail, you'll just put a big gouge in them. So it's super hard. Hey, Buzz.
What's up, guys? Thanks for joining us in the chat, guys. I've been seeing what you guys have been writing. I don't know if Johnny won his race or not. I haven't heard. I know that Ruben was live out there. I didn't realize Ruben went all the way out to California to check it out. I wanted to fly down, but even just flying to California right now is pretty expensive. However, I did look at the plane ticket to get to the No Name Nationals, and my God, I can buy several of those and still save thousands of dollars. It's remarkable. I think the plane ticket for me round trip is like less than $400. Wow. Of course, I'll be flying on a shit airline, but that's all right. Flying into St. Louis, and then depending on what kind of rental I can land or afford, we'll see what happens. But the plane ticket, that's not going to be a problem now. So I'll definitely be there.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. I'm still a little bummed out about everything, but the more I think about it, the more that I can just, I got to be able to put up some sort of a fight. You know what I mean? That 318 was not going to get it done, and it was going to be embarrassing, but I was willing to do it just to put on the show because I wasn't lying. I was going to throw all the nitrous I had at that thing and see if we could blow the 318 up because I had read a lot. A lot of people are like, 150 shots. And then you get these unicorn guys that are like, fuck, I threw 300 shots at a 318 for a whole season. And the thing still, the only reason I pulled the nitrous off is because it was my wife's daily driver. And I was like, are you shitting me? They're like, yeah, we ran 1380s in that day. I was like, man. So you get these guys saying, good luck trying to blow up a 318. So I was like, man, one pass, 300 shots. Let's just send it, all the way. So I am a little disappointed that I couldn't do that at the No Name Nationals, but I still have the nitrous. I still have the car. I might just have to blow it up a little closer to home, but we'll see what happens.
Well, I'm glad you're coming. I'm glad you're definitely coming. That'll be fun.
Man, I can't. I don't know.
Tattoo's gonna look awesome.
Yeah. I need to talk to Wilburn because Wilburn offered me something pretty cool, and I don't know how much he's talked about it yet, but so I'll save that for a different episode. Once he announces it, then I'll announce it. But he gave me an opportunity at the No Name Nationals that I thought was really cool. And for somebody like me, I'll just say this: it's more like I'm more comfortable with doing that than I would be. Not that I'm uncomfortable racing or anything. I would have had a blast no matter what. But what I may be doing would be a lot funner. I shouldn't say that because I love racing. It's just more up my alley. I'll say that. And when
so you're running the drink tent?
I am running the drink tent. They got some Daisy Dukes for me. It's going to be amazing. The old beer garden. I would too. Not the Daisy Dukes part, maybe. I don't know.
I told Ruben that he's gonna have to wear my helmet when he passes out Friday night because And we're definitely taking his hat, and we're just going to make sure we fix it so it's the right way. I think Tall John and I are going to get that figured out for him.
I'm sure.
He's going to wake up with 40 rubber bands on it the next morning.
Well, you're still planning on bringing cars out, aren't you?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Still, I'll still be able to see 43, right? I still want to see the car.
Oh, yeah. I think I'm 5 subs away right now from 500. Or
hell yeah, dude.
400. Sorry, 400.
All right.
Not 500.
Everybody in the chat right now, or anybody that watches this or listens to this in the podcast form, go to YouTube right now. Go to Dutch Guy's Garage and subscribe to him, because I have a mission to get him a race. I need to find somebody that wants to race you instead of me. I need somebody to call out Dutch Guy's Garage.
Oh boy.
It better be a good call out too. No BS.
Yeah, that'd be a hard decision on who though.
I don't know. I feel like there's still, we're really close to the event now, but I think, the more we spread the word, like, I just haven't seen these damn bots. That's my signal to shut it down. I think the more we just keep putting the word out there, because I haven't seen enough promotion on Facebook. So I need to put out some more stuff myself. It's really so YouTube centric that it's really a shame, because I knew there wasn't enough promotion on Facebook when I posted about it, and the amount of people are like, what's that? And I was like, oh my God. So hopefully me posting my YouTube channel at least led them to the rest of the stuff. Hopefully. I know a couple of people reached out to me about the No Name Nationals, and I was like, oh, you don't know what it is? Perfect. Tell John Wilburn I sent you. But yeah, it's gonna be fun. I'm just as much of a bummer as it is that the dumpster fire couldn't get out there, which I only said that it couldn't get out there and backed out because I don't think it can. But if by some miracle I can make it happen, I'll make it happen. But I wanted to be as realistic as possible and not get anybody's hopes up. Not that they were very excited to see my shit box there, but it would have been fun. I know. Hopefully it just builds up anticipation for number 2, because there was a lot of stuff that I had planned. I was going to cage it because I got a buddy that was going to weld it up for me. I almost bought the cage. I'm glad I didn't now, because I'm so broke right now that I'm contemplating getting refunded on a couple of the parts that I have just floating out there that haven't even shipped yet. So I'm like, maybe I'll just put that cash back in and see what else I can do to the car. But I'm just happy I get to go and hang out with all my buddies. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm excited about getting the content now. Now I can focus on getting some killer content. So,
oh yeah,
that'll be a lot of fun. But we need to get Dustin a race. I can't let him take his car out there and not have somebody to run. So, yeah. Hey, if I can get a cool enough rental car, watch out, dude. I paid that $75 registration. If I have to go there in a Dodge Caravan and line that thing, I'll just get the extra insurance on whatever I rent.
It's a Volare. You could, I get a Honda Accord. You're fine.
No, well, we don't roll those. It's got to be a Dodge of some kind, some sort of Mopar product. Unless I can get a good deal on something stupid. Watch me roll up in a Ferrari or something and just race you in reverse. What's funny though is people would actually see a Ferrari or something like that at the No Name Nationals and they'd shit all over it. It would be hilarious because that is not what that event is about.
I think there's going to be more rust at the No Name Nationals than good paint, and I love that.
I almost want to. I know someone was like, "Hey, you should bring, if you can just fly out or whatever, bring a box of T-shirts and you can post them up in my tent or whatever." And now I'm thinking I should just bring a box of a variety of different colors of spray paint so that people can touch their shit up when they're at the No Name Nationals. I'll have a little rattle can shaker and stuff. Here you go, dude.
I think Wilburn needs to do like a big board, and then everyone that's there needs to sign the board, and then they can just like clear it. And then they can have it for when they come back to No Name. This will be the first name No Name and who was there and all the content creators.
I like that. You should tell Wilburn that if you haven't already.
No, I haven't, but like he could put that in the back of his office or,
Yeah.
It's the first one. Why not?
No, absolutely. No, if he hasn't thought about that, definitely bring that up to him. That's a great idea. I like that. It's definitely going to be a memorable event. That's why as disappointing as it is that I'm not going to bring my car, I'm still just happy that I'll be able to make it. Because when I looked up plane tickets this last time, I was worried that it was going to have jumped. Mm-hmm. And surprisingly, it might be cheaper than it was. I don't know what the hell. I was like, $300 round trip? This can't be right. But that's right. Cheap. So, so cheap. It's almost like they don't. It's almost like they want people to come to Missouri or something. They're like, come on.
No, they give you some corn when you get there.
Yeah, something. I don't know. But Dustin, thank you very much for coming on the show. Definitely learned more about F-bodies than I thought I would ever learn.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, anytime, man. You're welcome anytime. And now I'm going to go searching for F-bodies. And the next time I'm in Eastern Washington, I'm going to get some video of that one sitting on the side of the road, and we'll see if that's the guy that shoots me, because everybody says I'm going to get shot doing it. I don't think so. So we'll see.
Can I say one thing before we go off?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. If anyone has Aspen Volare parts they're looking to market out there, please email us at dutchguysgarage@gmail.com. We'll help you find homes for those parts, cars, anything. We have people all over the country buying. So yeah.
What if somebody needs parts? Can they still reach out to you?
Yep, absolutely, right. Absolutely. I have connections throughout this whole country. Like my wife's station wagon, I swear that car has parts from all 50 states, and I could not be I'm really not far off from it.
You need to reach out to the guy in Mexico and go, hey, look, buddy, what's it going to take to get these molds off your hands, or whatever he's got, whatever stuff he has.
He prices them so cheap. You can buy a full set of the RT fender flares for $160 shipped from Mexico.
What?
Yeah, you're not going to beat that in America.
No. Wow, that's insane. Okay.
He's doing it. He's doing it to preserve the hobby, because they actually sold Volaris in Mexico. They called them Valiants.
Let's talk about that for a second.
Okay.
So these cars were available south of the border as well.
Yep, and they were called Valiants or Valiant Super Bees, the high-end package. And the Super Bees actually had real Super Bees on the side, and were actually, if they would have, if you include the world and the fastest production car for 1978, like if you're looking at stuff that it was actually made by the big three, the 1978 Super Bee would be the fastest production vehicle south of the border. 325 horsepower in a Volare south of the border. And you could get it with a real 4-speed.
Okay. Okay. Now, so this podcast is going to go on for a little bit longer, because I need to know more about this. How rare are those cars in Mexico?
Not rare. It's Mexico. They didn't rot out.
Okay. My second question, Dustin, is how are we going to figure out how to get these imported to the United States?
There's already 4 that have been imported that I know of.
Do you know these people that have done it?
Yes. And I hear it's the biggest pain in the butt. My buddy is he's working on getting his 96 or 8 Ram Charger from Mexico. He's got it here. He's trying to go through the title process, and he's having fun with that at the moment.
There's some south of the border Mopars that I am very interested in acquiring.
I'm interested in the South Africa Utes. The Valiant Utes. I want one. I think that is Chrysler's biggest fail is not having a Ute, because the Rampage didn't cut it. It was front-wheel drive.
Yeah, that's another front-wheel drive car where I'm like, why couldn't they just have made a rear-wheel drive V8 version? Why? Why not? Mm-hmm.
I would have a whole yard full of them. The mullet of cars that I want it. I mean, put a sheeted plywood in the back. I'm good. Hey, John.
What's up, John? Tell John your idea. We got him.
All right,
John, listen to this.
You should send him the link. See if he wants to hop in here for a minute.
I'll actually, you know what? I'll post the link in the chat. I'm not going to be on here for too much longer, but that won't stop me from posting this in the chat. I actually have some new friends that import cars from Japan.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, they got some pretty crazy stuff. But I'm going to talk to them about what they think they can do about these Mexican cars. Because if I could get a 320 horsepower Valiant Super V with a 4-speed,
yeah. I mean, there's guys down there like that Horatio guy, and he just devotes everything to that hobby, and he just goes through and restores these cars. And it's like you just see them, and they did different interiors down there and everything. There were just so many more options, and like the hood trim, it doesn't say Dodge or anything. It says Valiant, so it's got one-off trim just for Mexico, and it's just like, man. And
so you're saying these cars are not hard to find in Mexico?
No, he finds them all the time. Like he posts pictures of different ones, like almost every week.
And it's Mexico, so shit's pretty cheap down there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm doing some research. This may be a business opportunity here. We can bring these old Mopar because I love the Mexican Chargers. they're so wrong and right at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. John Wilbur.
You got me eating my midnight strawberry snow cone.
Oh, that sounds so good right now.
Oh.
I will never outgrow eating snow cones. I have my own machine. I love it. All right, Dutch Guy's Garage. What's going on, man? What's your idea?
All right, so I was talking over with Chris. Because you need to have a No Name National sign and have everyone sign it at No Name this year, and then clear that thing and put it on your backdrop.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's yeah. We can do that. But do it when we get there. But yeah, I'm down for that.
I think that'd be cool as hell.
I'm thinking how we do the group photos. So we'll do it with a drone, so absolutely everyone can be in it.
Yeah,
nice.
That'd be cool. Yeah, I'm down with that. I'm going to actually revamp back here. So my Carlisle sign has two hooks, and one of them crapped out in the middle of one live. I fixed it, and the other one crapped out. So they're both going to have screws that can't go anywhere for next one. But yeah, I'm going to redo this. I think I'm going to upgrade my frame for the Brinker sign, and this is Dust Devil Garage's sign right here. I'm going to
90 days. My God.
98. Actually, it's 89 as of this minute.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
and
Bill.
then we're going to upgrade. We're going to redo our sticker board a little bit. So this will look a little different here pretty soon.
Nice.
Awesome.
And at 89 days, it's coming down.
Bill, what's up, buddy?
Greetings. Oh, just hanging out, listening, enjoying it.
Awesome.
I didn't know I could get in on the chat till just a few minutes ago.
Yeah, anybody can jump on the chat if the link is available. I need to start getting back to doing lives. Everybody just does lives now, so it's like, I obviously don't want to step on anybody's toes, but it's been a while since I got on there, so I need to start doing lives again. But it's like, if you're bored on one live, you can go to another live and check out what's going on over there. It's I don't know, it's a nice little ecosystem on YouTube. I like it.
Yeah, I think Brian was doing one too.
Really?
Yeah. He was wanting us to jump over there if we got finished.
I still want to reach out to StreamYard and be like, "Hey man, where's my royalties for this?" Those jerks owe me some money. I do want to say to everybody that streams to YouTube, you should start a Facebook page and stream to that too.
I've been very Facebook resistant.
I know you have, John. That was not for you.
I'm a caveman when it comes to Facebook.
That's all right. We've got people out there talking about the No Name Nationals. So.
Oh yeah. It's trending pretty good.
Yeah.
I remember how much of the word you had to type in January, and how little you have to type in now to get a search result.
Mm-hmm.
So all the words that start with non, like non this, non that, non chlorinated, whatever, we're number 8.
That's pretty good SEO, if you ask me.
Of all the things that have the prefix non in them, and we're number 8.
Wow.
Yeah,
Man.
I was impressed by that. I thought that was pretty cool.
I think my dad has watched every episode tagged to that.
Really?
He doesn't watch TV. All he watches is YouTube. And
that's right. You told me about that one time.
Yeah, he's the one. He sent me the thing about No Name, and he's like, "You should start doing YouTube, and we'll go to this thing."
Yes, sir.
Gosh, watching YouTube would be a lot easier on the mind. That's for sure.
What? You're at how many subs now?
I'm about to hit 400.
I was gonna say I did the tally on I do it every day, but I was gonna say you're As of this morning, you are 388, and you're running fourth. So next up from Dutch Guys, Heavens Mopars 397, Big Block 402, 446, and Mongrel's Garage 453. So you're not many subs out of the lead. You're only 65 subs out of the lead right now.
Good.
You could be the next one to cross 500. Wouldn't that be cool?
I have a lot of content recorded. Just finding the time to actually get out and edit it is the main thing. And
I hear you.
I mean, I got probably 60 hours of content I'm sitting on right now that needs edited.
So if I can shamelessly plug something on Chris's live, we brought in another sponsor for the No Name Nationals, and Destroyer 1320 is now going to be sponsoring the burnout competition.
Nice.
And how right is he for that, right? So we've been asking, if you're going to participate in the burnout competition, Destroyer 1320's playpen at the end of the track, let us know. We got an Australian-style burnout pit up there, 194 by 64 feet.
Woo.
To cut loose.
Man, I like the sound of that.
I got to give Destroyer credit, though, filling that market need right there just on a whim. That man is absolute genius. Good for him.
I actually just watched that video, I think last week. And I was like, wow, what an idea. I actually, when I saw that, I was like, I need to get this guy on my podcast and talk about some innovation, because that's it's little things like that can change your life. They always say the best businesses are the ones that come up with a solution to a problem that a lot of people have. And that is a solution to a problem that a lot of people have. I was watching that. I was just like, wow, genius.
Well, if he would have had a booth at Hot Rod Power Tour, I mean, how many Challengers were stolen there? Oh, my goodness.
That many, huh?
I follow a couple guys on Facebook, and there was 8 Challengers stolen the one day at the one hotel.
Wow.
8?
Man.
I mean, Destroyer could have been there, and oh, man. But what did he say? He fills like 8 to 10 orders a day? That's crazy. Good for him. Good for him. I love seeing people succeed like that. That is awesome.
My uncle owns one of those. I need to buy one of those and send it to him. I just thought of that just now. Everybody we know, actually, he has 2 vehicles that you use that on. So, yeah.
He said he's got them for like Durangos. Was it the trucks too or something?
The Ram, I believe, too.
Yeah, I'm going to buy a couple of those myself.
I think what does he sell them for? Like $30? I mean,
yeah, they're cheap.
$30 to not get your car stolen? I mean,
yeah.
Protect a $70,000 car with a $35 piece of metal like that. That's a good deal.
Mm-hmm.
That's good piece of money.
To be honest, I didn't even realize that that's how they could get them into neutral until I watched that video. I was like, are you serious right now? I was like, no wonder they're getting jacked. Man. Insane.
See, I got the best anti-theft ever with my van. There's nobody on earth that could get away with stealing that van. and I don't know that it's books for enough to even be grand larceny anyway. So
I'll put a sticker in my van that says, hey, whatever you do, just don't go within 500 feet of a school, because this van's wanted. And the guy will probably be like, oh, maybe I don't want to be in this thing.
I'll just ask him, hey, can you just set my nice stainless steel Yeti tumbler outside before you take it? That's all I'm asking.
I am I'm pretty pumped about the No Name Nationals, even though I'm not bringing a car. I'm trying to see if I can bring all my equipment. I would love to podcast from, depending on, you guys got a good Wi-Fi signal there or what?
We're going to.
Nice.
Dallas is working on that now. There is good internet across the street.
Okay.
And the county is given they're given some kind of discount where they subsidize any extension of the internet you do in that county.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a little bit of funding for it. So we're bringing the internet into Jeffers and setting up a network. That's something we're doing now.
Perfect. Nice. Yeah. the ability to live stream for me is going to be crucial.
Yeah.
That's one problem I had at Mo Party. I did not have a good signal there, and it screwed me over. I was like, well, there goes my weekend. I could not get a signal for anything. And I know a lot of people will tune in live to watch the drag racing and stuff, so it's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be a lot of fun. We're starting to... We put a lot of time and effort on the No Name 500 guys early because they needed the most help early, right? And now we're having to work more. Like I've been working more on faster cars, recently, trying to get some of the faster guys to turn out, and they are. And we're having a heads-up race, 28 by 10.5 tire heads-up race. It's got some fast stuff coming. It's $100 bill to enter on top of your entry fee, but it pays $1,500 to win, $500 to runner up, and it's heads up instant green tree. The only rules are a 28 10.5 tire and steel roof and quarters, and you can do anything else.
Oh, so yeah,
that's going to bring out some sharks. There will be some fast stuff coming. We see a lot of these cars that come out of the woods and stuff, and that's awesome. I love those cars, but make no mistake, there's going to be 4-second cars this event, and there may even be a 3-second car or two.
Awesome. Let me ask you this, John. I don't know if anybody's asked this yet, but this is an event for content creators, right?
Absolutely.
Every event I've gone to, I've had to get a media pass to get the best footage I can get. Is everybody that's got 500 subs granted a media pass to go wherever they want as far as getting content?
Yeah, of course.
Love it.
That's what this is. It's a content creator event. We're all media technically, right?
Yeah, I will admit that it is nice to have that media pass and just walk into areas and people are like, how the hell is he getting over there? It's like, you gotta have one of these.
The only places that are kind of restricted, we're gonna have some places for safety.
Yeah,
like, sure. On the wall top end, up in the tower. So there's certain places like that. But yeah, in general, the place is wide open.
Cool. Yeah, it's gonna be so much fun.
And every spectator ticket is a pit pass too.
Yeah.
So that's the funny thing. We're just sitting here wondering. I'm sure a lot of people will turn out, but how many people want to sit in the stands versus mingle with everybody else in the pits? Because that's where the action's going to be, is in the pits and the staging lane on the track. Mm-hmm. So the stands are there, but every ticket is a pass to get in the pits too.
What kind of weather can I expect in Missouri in September?
Well, I know this. It should be warm. It should be t-shirt weather, of course.
Cool.
The odds of rain in September are the lowest of any month.
Perfect.
That's your best statistical month for not having rain. And the later in the month you go, the odds drop even more. And we have this September 30th and October 1st. So our odds of rain are better than any other weekend in the entire season.
So let me ask you this, John. Is this the time of year that you will plan future events if there are future no-name nationals? Are you going to aim for this time frame?
We'll see. Because as you know, the date got moved. Mm-hmm. And we'll see. We're going to discuss that. But, we're going to have a good date. We'll see what it winds up being. It's impossible to get a date that's completely clear and free of anything else going on, of course.
Yeah.
But, we're going to try to get a date that works. But, it'll be something late summer, early fall like this.
Very cool.
Don't know for sure, but we'll see.
Nice.
Awesome. Bill, where are you at in the country? You're out in
southeastern Ohio.
That's kind of a trek to the No Name Nationals, isn't it?
Did that come over?
Are you planning on going out to the No Name Nationals? Yes.
No.
Plane tickets are cheap. It's $300 from
I'm doing
Washington.
Carlisle and the Mopar Nats, and that's probably it for me.
Are you going to Chrysler's at Carlisle?
Yes.
Chrysler's at Carlisle here in 2 weeks?
Yes. Well, 3. Somewhere in there. Yeah. It's the middle
I'll be there
of July.
I'll be there.
Cool.
Don and Wendy English.
Look for Red Mag.
Several of the people in the chat.
With horse flares and a spoiler on it.
We're going to be right by gate 3, right where you come in.
Okay. That's one
I don't
event
know where
I want to
the
go
late
to.
B body class is going to be this year. They kind of move us around we're like the redheaded stepchild, just wherever there's space, they put us. So, but we're gaining in popularity there with those. And it's the same with the F bodies, Dustin. It's just like, we'll put you wherever we can find a spot. There was one year at Carlisle where they had newer vehicles like PT Cruisers and all this down on the main show field, and they had us shoved up on the hill that's up behind there. And it was like that,
that's criminal.
A bunch of us petitioned to say, look, yeah, that's crazy.
DIY
it's a
Hemi
collector
Blake.
car event for antiques, and I said, you got brand new vehicles down the show field.
So my friends down at DIYHemi.com, Blake and Mike, are going to be doing a Hemi swap seminar for modern Hemi swaps and classic Mopars at Chrysler's at Carlisle. So be sure to check them out. Blake, do you have a location or time that that's scheduled for, or what? Let us know in the chat and I'll post it up.
DIY Hemi is also registered for the No Name Nationals.
Yes, they are.
Check them out both places. Bad Tree Blake's in the house too, I see.
What's up, Blake?
Oh
yeah, this was a fun episode. John, what do you think about F body Mopars?
F body Mopar Aspen Volare.
Mm-hmm.
I think they rock.
Yeah.
I regret not pushing a little harder, seeing if I could make a deal on a Volare wagon once. Had the Magnum 500 road wheels on it. It was a factory 4-speed, 3-speed overdrive, 318 car, real low mileage. He just wanted way too much. Of course, by today's standards, it would be a good price, but yeah, it was cool, man. It was a wagon, only had 70-some thousand miles. Wow. I love them. I think they're cool.
Yeah.
F bodies are great.
Yes, they are.
That's what I started drag racing with. Dutch knows that. I told him already. But.
Oh, yeah. You look like you had a lot more fun with your first one
I'm a former owner of 2 or 3 of them myself.
We had a Woody wagon. We called it Old Hickory. And 79 Aspen with 85 Dodge Diplomat cop car suspension throughout the bottom of it. When we got it, had a Smog 318, ran 16s, and then we swapped the aluminum head 360 and it ran 12s with 294 gears. So.
Yeah,
did you guys know that
cars.
He went to the lake with Whistling Diesel?
Man, that shocked me. I can't believe that.
That's what I wanted to open up with saying when I came in here instead of saying F bodies are sweet. Because he was just in Brian's. Should I bring up Whistle and Diesel? I went to lake with them.
How dare you name drop on Talking Mopars like that?
So I got to know what tattoo you're going to get, Chris.
I was going to get 43 on the other side of my neck. It was either that or a big pen. I was actually leaning towards a pentastar on the other side of my neck. I thought that would be pretty cool. Might as well go.
I thought you were going to get like a pet star, like right on the corner of your eye.
A little pentastar tear? Man, I might lose all credibility in this space if I get a face
tattoo. Ask for 13 and they give you a 31.
Dude, I would love it if I looked and it said 34. I'd be like, okay. That's what I get.
Here comes.
Yeah, I saw that.
Hey, Chris, did you know that we've been telling people for a week to unsubscribe from Mr. Will, and he is up to 370?
Yeah, you need to start telling people to unsubscribe from me.
Just keep telling people to unsubscribe from Mr. Will, and he's only 130 subscribers away from Racing Daddy's Money Garage. We're trying to prevent that race that we know no one wants to see, and they just keep unsubscribing, and he just keeps gaining subs. See? Do it. Unsubscribe.
That's funny. I lost one subscriber from my pull-out video. Not the kind of pull-out video you're thinking of, Dust Devil. I know. I was expecting backlash from that, and I've gotten nothing but support. I was surprised. But for those wondering, I'm still going. The plane ticket is only $300. I have no excuses. I will be there. I might be able to afford a cool enough rental car to run Dustin anyway. We'll see.
It's an issue that most people can relate with, especially coming from where you're coming from, Russia, basically.
Man, I need to move so bad. I can't even explain to you. But I really wanted the dumpster fire to make it out there. I'm super disappointed that it's not going to happen, but I'm just glad on the same hand to be going, because I'm going to take advantage of it and try to get as much good content as I can.
So are you gonna strap in Ruben's Roadrunner then, or?
I've been thinking about taking him up on that offer, but Dustin also had an interesting offer for me too. And there's something about driving somebody else's car. And I told Dustin this, and he's like, you're not going to beat that thing any harder, not even close to how I beat it. And I'm like, yeah, you're right.
You got to throw that out the window if you watch how Ruben drives in traffic. So if Ruben was a normal person, I could understand that, Chris. But Ruben drives like Ruben, so you should be able to go out and beat the hell out of it and think it was normal.
I also, that thing when it's somebody else's car, and I just don't feel like I wouldn't want to jump in the driver's seat of someone else's car and make it look worse. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't want to be that guy. Like, damn,
was. Do you know how much Ruben would mark out over being able to tell people that Chris Albrecht drove his car? You could hear him saying that.
It was at this point in the show that I decided to erase everything up until the very end. So we were also joined by my friends John Wilburn from the No Name Nationals, Blake from Bad Tree Productions, my friend Bill, and Brian from Dust Devil Garage came in, but unfortunately he came in as the show started derailing. So unfortunately, Brian's part got cut out as well. What had happened was we were live streaming simultaneously, and Brian shut his live down and everybody came over to mine, and things quickly got out of control. So I'm going to save you guys the trouble of, I don't know, an hour of just ridiculousness. And like I said, if you want to see it, you can go to YouTube and check out Talking Mopars podcast and find the latest live, which would be episode 139. And you can watch the train wreck in its entirety. But this is the point where I finally say enough is enough, and I make everybody leave so that I don't have to kick them out, so Dustin and I can shut down the show. So here we go. Thanks for listening. Okay, guys, it's time for Dustin and I to shut this show down. So
sorry for
go ahead and exit out so I don't have to exit you guys out. Thank you for joining us. Dustin, where can people find that whiskey really hit my stomach hard? Dustin, where can people find all your amazing content?
Dutch Guys Garage on Gmail, Instagram, YouTube, all of it.
For all of your F-body needs.
Yeah.
Awesome. And you will be at the No Name Nationals?
I will. And awesome. It's been fun. It is like 2 a.m. So,
all right, buddy. Well, your episode didn't get ruined. Don't worry. There will be some creative editing for the podcast version because I do have a sponsor. I need to fuck it. We've got some things we need to clean up here.
Those guys. Oh yeah, those guys were great. But yeah,
that was funny. But there's only a certain amount we can let slip through. I don't edit. I don't edit too many of these lives. But I had a feeling as soon as I saw Whistling Diesel and fucking, I was like, I guess I can try to salvage some of this, I guess. And then I was like, all right, we've gone off the rails.
Yep.
But don't worry, dude. This is a high performance heritage episode, which is these episodes are fun because you get to learn a little bit about history of Mopar. And I think you brought some fun history about the F bodies that I sure didn't know. And now I'm super jealous that you have 2 43s, the Dodge and the Plymouth. That's cool. Now I need to go through your pictures and see all the you got. Do you have any pictures of that super clean 43 in the barn? Did you get any content for that?
Oh yeah. That's I document. I try and document as much as I can because there's not enough information out there. And yeah, that car is referred to in the F-body hobby as 43. It's called number 1 because it's the number 1.
Awesome.
So that's, if you ever hear that brought up in the conversation, you ever hear just number 1, I mean, that's
That's the one.
That's it. It's what do you call the car that's the best condition one?
Yeah, number one. The number 143. That's awesome, man. Well, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for joining us in the chat. And thank you all for listening, to those of you that are going to listen to the show. Dutch Guy's Garage on YouTube. Go subscribe to Dustin's channel. It's great. It's a bunch of fun stuff. And you can see him beating the living hell out of his cars. And it is very entertaining. My name is Chris Albrecht. That was Talking Mopars High Performance Heritage. We'll see you next time right here on a live stream. Maybe Dustin will come back again and we'll talk F-bodies some more. Actually, once you start getting into the other 43 project some more, come back and tell us about it, all right?
Will do.
All right, brother. We'll talk to you later.
See you, man.
All right, guys. Adios. No Mopar left behind. There you have it, my friends. Another episode of Talking Mopars is in the books. For everything you need to know about this show, you know where to go, talkingmopars.com. And you can reach me by emailing chris@talkingmopars.com or by leaving me a voicemail on my voicemail box at 209-28-MOPAR, and you just might get to hear yourself on the show. So keep sharing those Mopar stories with me and anything else that is on your Mopar-addicted mind. Special thanks to my friends over at DIYHemi.com. If you've been considering swapping a modern Gen 3 Hemi into your classic Mopar, then give my friends over at DIY Hemi a shout and tell them that I sent you. They've supported me from the beginning of this show, and I also support them in their mission to Hemi swap the world. Also, don't forget how important it is to keep your Mopar protected from the elements. If you need protection, don't wait. Head over to TalkingMopars.com, click on the affiliates tab, and go get your Mopar covered today. Before we shut this podcast episode down, if you want some Talking Mopars merchandise like t-shirts, hoodies, stickers, and cool swag like that, check out the merch shop on TalkingMopars.com. And for exclusive bonus episodes and videos only for my supporters, become a Facebook supporter today and get immediate access to those benefits. That's it, my friends. Until we talk again, I am your host, Chris Albrecht, and that was Talking Mopars.
Thank you for listening to Talking Mopars, your direct connection to all things Mopar. Until next time, remember, no Mopar left behind.